Hey church, welcome back to Avalon Reconnect. We're diving into this past Sunday's sermon that our elder Bill preached. In Luke chapter 15, we see that Jesus, he tells the story of two sons, both which are lost, both in desperate need of their father's love. One son walks away openly rebellious, wasting his inheritance in reckless living, the prodigal son. The other son stays at home doing all the right things, but has a heart that's hardened by self-righteousness. Both sons end up estranged from the father, though it looks in drastically different ways. This parable isn't just about rebellion, it truly focuses in on the relationship between father and his children. And here's what we often miss. It's possible to be physically near God, but spiritually far away from his heart. The younger son's physical distance, it mirrored this spiritual state, lost and empty, far away. But the elder son who stayed was also just as lost. Though he followed the rules, his heart was disconnected from his father. When the younger son returns, expecting to be a servant, the father runs to him, an act that was unheard of in ancient times. The father, who is both dignified and wealthy, sets aside his honor to embrace the son who dishonored him. And what does the son find? Not a master with a list of grievances, not a father who's going to hold it against him, but a father with open arms. It's a beautiful picture of how God runs towards the broken, not with condemnation, but those who are coming home, he meets them with compassion, arms wide open. Meanwhile, the elder brother, he stands outside. He's angry and bitter that the father is throwing a celebration for his younger rebellious brother. In his eyes, he earned favor through years of obedience. But here's the hard truth. Grace, it cannot be earned. It can only be received. The older brother was lost in his self-righteousness because he saw his relationship with his father as transactional. I do and I have done, therefore I deserve. But the father's love, it's not about deserving. It's about belonging. God's love isn't a reward for those with good behavior. It's a gift freely given to be embraced. So where do we find ourselves in this story? Are we like the younger son, feeling too broken to even return to God? Or are we like the elder son, thinking we've done enough to earn his favor? We've earned it. Both attitudes, they miss the point of grace. Whether we've rebelled or whether we've obeyed, God is inviting us into something deeper, a relationship based on his unconditional love, based on his character, and our relationship to him, not our performance. And so 3 practical things today. Number 1, as always, examine your heart. Are you serving God out of love or obligation? The older brother, he thought he had to earn his father's love through obedience. And how often do we approach God the exact same way with our checklist? Spend some time in prayer asking God to reveal any areas where you might be relying on performance instead of resting in his grace, which is freely given. Number 2 is celebrate grace. We often struggle to celebrate when others receive blessings, especially when we feel like we've been more faithful and we've done more. The father's joy at his younger son's return is a challenge to the older brother and can be a challenge to us. And so this week, ask that God softens our hearts towards others, especially those that we might compare ourselves to, and practice celebrating their victories without resentments, without grudges. Number 3, come home. Maybe you've been wandering far from God, caught up in your mistakes, caught up in the mess of life. And I encourage you to take that first step towards home. God's love isn't waiting for you to get it all together. In fact, it's already running towards you. He's already extended his hand. Grace meets us where we're at, but it never leaves us there. It brings us back home. And so your engagement question for the day. What's the last thing someone celebrated for you, or maybe you celebrated for someone else? If you can try to think of something other than a birthday, that would be great, and we'd love to see your answers over in the Church Center app.